Hi there, welcome back. Today we're going to look at the third part in our core lift series. And the lift we're looking at today is our barbell back squat. Our barbell back squat sits right at the end of our spectrum, where we know for our squatting spectrum that starts with a single arm kettlebell squat into a double arm into some sort of front squat, maybe with a med ball moving towards a bar in the front, and then all the way to our back squat with a bar. We think of this as a foundational lift for our athletes, and as strength and conditioning coaches, we want it to feature in the vast majority of programs. There will be athletes with knee pathologies or different knee issues going forward, and they will be pulled out of that, but for the vast majority, our squat is a really important foundation. And that's because it trains a couple of really important movements that make up what we call non-negotiables. We're talking about a brace, hip, knee, and ankle flexion at depth, pelvic stability bilaterally, and then also having a neutral spine as well as working our legs. Now, these non-negotiables that we've just talked about form what we like to think of as a movement vocabulary for our athletes. And that is something that an athlete can then train, become good at, and take away, and then be able to put back together in the pitch in a different movement, and we get transfer. The why for athletes, the squat focuses a lot on lower body strength and core, and they are our starting points for a lot of movements that we see, especially in rugby union, but most team ball sports, where the athlete's going to need to either produce power or take force. So eccentrically, being able to take load correctly and efficiently, and being able to take a lot of that load is going to prevent injury, protect our knee joints. And then concentrically, the ability to produce force through the ground is really going to help our athletes in that first 5 meters of acceleration in our takeoff, our leg drive, making and also breaking through tackles, leaping and bounding, clearing bodies and rucks, and being powerful on the pitch. Now we're going to look at a full breakdown of the movement and the cues, and then we're going to end up with our big three that we want to coach our athletes. So the first cue that we're going to look at, this goes from the entire lift, goes throughout the entire lift, We want to keep our eyes up, our feet flat on the floor, and the weight evenly distributed from our toes back to our heels. So we're not favoring any one part of our foot. The eyes up is critical, especially for our amateur athletes who will tend to then go eyes down, feel the load, round out through our thoracic, and internally rotate through our shoulders. So the next thing that we do, so we've got that nice strong position, we're going to approach the bar on our rack. The bar is going to sit high across our shoulders, and we're going to go feet shoulder width apart. Our breathing for this exercise, we want to breathe in at the top. That gives our core the best chance of being the strongest it can be and transfer that force. And then we're going to squat down. And how we're going to squat down is really important here. The cue, which is going to be one of our big cues, is we're going to push our bum back to the wall behind us. It's kind of like we're pulling our bum back like a slingshot. If we send our hips back, then we see that we're getting that nice motion, bending down, letting our knees track over our toes, and our chest is up at the same time. We want to squat all the way down until we're getting to parallel with our thighs, hamstring on calf contact. And then on the way up, we're going to think about driving our knees out. That's critical for athletes that are going to want to cave in over the top and then use different muscles in their legs or get an imbalance going there. So what we want is driving those knees out, extending our hips until our legs are straight. And the big cue there is going to be pushing through the ground. So nice external cue to focus on for our athletes. And what we end up with is the big three. Push our bum to the wall behind us, drive our knees up, and push through the ground.